Pam Bondi faced ridicule, was brushed aside, and challenged to demonstrate her worth on stage during a podcast episode nobody anticipated would explode online. The guest, Jackson Weller, an indie rock artist from Portland known for progressive views and biting wit, was midway through recounting a fundraiser gig when the host casually inquired about politicians backstage. With a smirk, Jackson leaned into the mic. Pam Bondi was at one of those gigs. Sweet woman, I suppose, but honestly, she eyed the grand piano like it was some IKEA knockoff. I bet she can't distinguish middle C from a mug of coffee. His typical youthful, left-leaning crowd erupted in laughter. It was the sort of quip he was famous for, usually shrugged off, but this one lingered. Within hours, snippets ricocheted across social media, sliced into memes like Jackson roasts Pam Bondi with a musical jab, and Pam, do you even recognize a piano? In Tampa, Pam sat at her kitchen counter as her niece forwarded the clip with a crying laughing emoji. She viewed it twice, unfazed, sighed quietly, and flipped her phone face down. Her tea had cooled, but she kept the clip intact. A week later, Jackson doubled down in a Seattle digital magazine. She's probably lawyer smart, I'll give her that, but I'd wager she hasn't a shred of creativity. You can't fake art. You either feel it or you don't. The jab turned sharper, more personal. Some fans squirmed. Older ones posted, "Is this actually necessary?" But Jackson, set to tour Florida, assumed the buzz would fade. What he didn't realize was that Pam had scored a last-minute invite to a Sarasota charity gala for kids' music programs, the exact event he'd perform at, listed only as a silent donor. Not planning to speak or play, though something was stirring now. Before law school, politics, and headlines, Pam's life pulsed with music, growing up in Dunedin, Florida, with a fire chief dad and a monk who played piano at church. Every Thursday, she'd trek to Mrs. Donatelli's house, where a Baldwin upright stood amid lemon polish and old books. She was 8 when she first touched the keys, 10 when Chopin stole her heart. Mrs. Donatelli, strict with her ruler, taught her to feel the space, tell the truth. By 15, Pam played sonatas from memory, and at 16, she took second at the Tampa Bay Youth Music Competition. Stung by a mid-measure freeze in Debussy's Clair de Lune, she folded the program into a square, kept it in her wallet, but life veered as her parents split and college loomed. Music faded under law and career, courtrooms, campaigns, long days, her piano gathering dust in the guest room, her passion unknown even to colleagues, save for Grant Halberg, a deputy prosecutor who spotted sheet music in her briefcase in 2007. Nocturne in C-sharp minor, she admitted. He left her its opening bars on her birthday with a note. Don't wait forever. He died months later, and she kept it. When Jackson's clip hit, that old sting from 16 resurfaced, not anger, but memory. She entered her guest room, lifted the sheet off her out-of-tune piano, smiled faintly, and called her old instructor Dan to tune it. She practiced nightly for weeks, hands rusty but memories sharp, picking Clair de Lune, the piece she'd never finished, keeping it private. Lights dim, no recordings, just her and a promise she hadn't known she'd made. Meanwhile, Jackson kept joking, on Clearwater Radio, maybe she'll wow us with chopsticks. Clueless she'd play, not speak, at the nearing event. The Ritz-Carlton Ballroom in Sarasota glowed with soft light, a charity night for art for the next generation, blending Florida's delight, silent auctions, shrimp towers, and a Steinway Grand near center stage. Pam arrived at 7:15 p.m. in black satin, solo, no press tipped off, planning to stay sidelined, while Jackson, in suede and open collar, chatted with journalists, guitar case nearby, not spotting her at first as she sipped seltzer with old political acquaintances. Between crab cakes and opening remarks, he saw her, strode over, and raised his glass. The legend herself didn't peg art fundraisers as you're seen. They are, especially for kids, she replied. He pressed, closer to telling a Steinway from a side table. Nervous laughs followed. "Do you always talk like that at charity events?" She countered. He shrugged, then gestured to the piano. "Wanna prove me wrong? Play anything." The room shifted. A photographer froze. Heads turned. As she said, "I don't play for people who want me to stumble, but I will for the kids." And walked to the stage, calm as in courtrooms. She sat, adjusted the bench, hands in lap, eyes shut, while Jackson lingered by the bar, a friend muttering, "You mind screwed up." She began Claire de Lune, soft, water-like, too polished for a stunt. Some thought it was a track until her hands moved, swaying with each phrase, not performing, but lost elsewhere. Jackson, arms crossed, felt its melancholy pierce him, recalling a shaky San Francisco gig, where a woman swayed despite his flubs. He wasn't smirking now. Phones recorded, clicks muted by the trance. Pam's piece slowed, held a piercing chord, then silenced. She closed the lid gently, stepped off with a nod, no bow. 10 seconds later, applause swelled. Not polite, but raw. Nearly all stood, not for politics or payback, but elegance proving them wrong. Pam sipped her seltzer. Jackson, humbled, stayed back. Jackson took the stage later with less strut, switched his set list, and said, "I thought I could pay people fast. Talent, depth, heart. I've been cocky. I owe someone an apology," glancing at Pam. She listened, didn't clap, and that sufficed. By morning, shaky clips of Pam's performance topped 1 million views. Pam Bondi hushed a room with Debussy, sparking Twitter chaos. Stunning raw skill versus PR stunt. Curiosity drowned cynics. Jackson, silent online, sat in his hotel with a mute guitar, replaying her notes' weight. She played without needing anyone, echoing his old teacher. Real musicians hear what no one can voice. Pam declined media. Good Morning America at NPR, the secret virtuoso, but answered a 16-year-old's email. "I've been scared to join piano class. After you, I'll try. The key isn't perfection, just honesty," Pam replied. Jackson posted a notebook and guitar, starting over, losing some fans, gaining others. Weeks later, in Pensacola, he told the crowd, "We tear down people we don't vibe with, forgetting they've got more to offer." Then butchered Claire de Lune on an upright, laughing, "I'm no Pam." The room roared. A wall crumbled between noise and clarity. Clips hit CBS, Rolling Stone, The Tonight Show, not for politics, but for shattering assumptions silently. Comments flooded. "I've disagreed with her on everything." But that was breathtaking. And it wasn't right or left. It was seeing someone holy. Jackson's fans flipped. That was years she held, waiting to breathe. Pam trended as a person, not a politico. Her silence louder than press releases, while Jackson enrolled in Gainesville lessons, capturing an upright. Lessons resumed Monday. By week's end, Pam's full 8-minute video surfaced, her breath, still hands, the crowd's shift from amused to moved. YouTube calling it grace in a noisy world. She didn't yell, she played, reminding older people exceed headlines. Jackson's shift, listening, feeling his error, was quiet growth. A Tennessee teacher's letter said her class learned. She didn't yell, she played. Pam kept it in a drawer, unreplied. That night wasn't fame or vindication, but knowing who you are amid noise. Self-respect, not proving a point. We assume too much, listen too little, forgetting what's carried unseen. Pam's restraint and Jackson's pause showed depth we crave. You don't need to like or align with someone to see their worth, or hit back when actions outshout critics. Don't speak unless it adds worth, fight unless it's vital, or assume you know someone from their feed. One day, they might shift your world without a word, just being themselves. If this stirred you, rethink someone dismissed. If you're holding back, share it. Real moments like these deserve to live on.